Hey.
There.
Yes. I was like, I know I'm not gonna have to look at a picture the whole time. She better come on here. Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Woo!
Oh, this is so good. Beautiful girl. All right. So I think okay. I think I did everything right. Pretty sure I did. I learned this the hard way with me and Jenna last time when we had to.
Oh yeah, didn't you have to record that twice or something? I'm sure that's fun anyway.
But it ended up being about totally different, like it just wasn't even the same conversation. So it was like kind of sucked because it was so good, but it was great because like it ended up being a whole nother great thing. So let's breathe.
Okay. Yes, I love that. I was like, take a minute to center for a second. I've been setting up a Reiki room in my house to take clients, and I wasn't planning on taking any like within the next like week or two until I was like finished, but I have one that can like really wants to come and can only do it tomorrow, so I've been like running all over ground for a second.
That is so awesome. So is it just you and tell me his name?
Luca, my son.
Luca. How can I forget that? I have a friend with a son named Luca.
And actually Hector's son's name is Luca as well.
I didn't even know that.
I know, that's like some twin flame stuff right there.
That's
Isn't that
weird shit.
And well, like initially I'd picked that name because it's derived from lux and from Latin, and it means light. But I have to tell you this story, like whether it's recorded or not, it's amazing. I like to put like cosmos or stuff on in the background, like when he's doing Legos, because I just feel like subconsciously maybe he's absorbing some of that. And I ran into my room for a second. I was like, I'm gonna go do my stinky medicine. I'll be right back. and he comes running in. Oh, hold on, something happened to my screen. There, he comes running into my room and he's like, Mommy, did you know I was named after like the first grandfather cell? And I'm like, what? And I went and rewinded, and it like turns out like the first cell to like hold structure, like the grandfather cell of everything that makes everything, is called the last universal common ancestor, Luca for short. And I just had like chills all over my body because I'm thinking like, man, like like one of those times where your subconscious like kind of caught up to the level of your awareness. So I was like picking this name, but I had no idea why. I didn't find out till 7 years later. So,
and the fact that he was like totally paying attention to whatever it was that he was watching, that might be like, wait a minute, like, and he's just so okay. So I definitely want to talk about him. I want to talk about the way that you're parenting him, because I'm not around you. But I see it. So let me start from the beginning. Okay. Hello, my name is Carla. Thank you for clicking on this video. This is my YouTube channel. On this channel, we talk about spirituality, plant medicine, all kinds of fun stuff, energy, and all that. And I have recently decided to like start interviewing people that I think are just like crazy amazing or super magical or just have a beautiful spirit or whatever it is. I have so many people, when you have that many friends or like a community of people like that, it's like you gotta let the world see that, because it's just beautiful. So Meagan is my guest today. And so I'll give you her like credentials and that type of thing, because she has obviously worked very hard in her life, and I want to honor that. So Meagan has a BS in nursing from University of South Florida. Hopefully I get it all right. A master's in science in medical cannabis science and therapeutics. Wow. From University of Maryland. That just blows me away. Okay. She's a Reiki practitioner, a mom. Yes. She's an Aquarius, and she's almost got all of her 200 hours of yoga teaching training done. And the reason why I didn't bring her on for any of that, when you meet a Meagan, it's like you have the most precious spirit, the most precious. It's almost like a child.
Thank you.
It's just precious. It's the only way I can describe you is precious,
No.
beautiful and precious. And man, it's like that. I just wanted to share her. And she is very, I'm not real sure all the things that she does with cannabis, but I'm going to mention a little bit at least about this, just because I think it's so interesting how people smoke, they smoke weed. They don't really get, it's like there's so much. You are reminding me like looking at your video of your ceremony and stuff and seeing all the stuff that you talked about. I was like, my cat's coming in. I was just like, wow, this girl, like, there's a lot more than people know or that people acknowledge about cannabis. That,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you make your own products, cannabis products.
I do.
Like,
I do.
she's just badass and precious doing it. So thank you for being here. I love you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored. I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this.
Cool. Okay, so we are thinking, my cat's about to jump up. I'm gonna just let him jump on up and he's gonna go over there. Come on. Or maybe not.
I had to lock mine out because mine will sit on the keyboard
Uh,
and you'll just be looking at some white fur this whole interview. So I love her, but she's got to stay out for this.
One of them gotta stay out, but I have this thing on the side of my desk, on my desk, and he will lay on it and sleep he'll sleep for 2 hours right there if I'm like doing something like this.
Oh, what a sweet.
So, yeah, it's my baby. So hopefully, okay, we're gonna just kind of flow with whatever happens here, but I really want to talk about alchemy, conscious parenting somewhere in there, whatever flows from those things, and science and spirituality. It's just not something that I've thought about a whole lot. I'm there. There he goes, and you didn't even see him. Huh? He's short. So for now, I want to start by just asking you, like, what does alchemy mean to you? Like, what does that mean for someone that's clicking on this and that, or like, what is alchemy?
Yeah, that's an interesting word because you hear it like thrown about quite a bit. And like for a long time, I'm like, what is that? And this is like roughly my definition. So I'll just preface with that. But to me, it is the process of transforming something that we might perceive to be very negative, or some people might refer to it as dark or darkness, into something beautiful. So I think we've all seen an example from like a kid's movie where like a pot, a precious vase broke or something. And then they use those pieces, right, to glue back together into a cool collage or something that is even so much more meaningful and special than before it broke. And it never could have happened unless you went through the trauma of it breaking, right? So that's a good analogy for me. And yeah, really just purifying your pain and transforming it into something beautiful that can help others and yourself.
And what do you think what would the process be like? So I'll share a little bit about, okay, so for me, I went through about 15 to 20 years of addiction. I don't really remember exactly how long or whatever, but it's about like that. It was really bad, hit rock bottom, went to rehab, yada, yada. And it's all good here. Throughout that addiction, I had to go through all of that to get to where I am. If I never hit rock bottom, I would have never went to rehab. If I wouldn't have never got myself together there, then I would have never really got to experience plant medicine, or maybe I would have, but
Right.
not in the same way as I did with all those experiences. It's definitely made me a better everything.
Yeah.
That.
Absolutely.
So for like, let's say, just for like for daily things that people go through, or maybe not just daily things that people, maybe thoughts that people keep having, or thinking that they're not enough, or whatever, all of those maybe traumas that they didn't even know were traumas back when it happened, and these things that just keep kind of coming up. what would be maybe like a process of going through and figuring that out and being able to alchemize that
Well,
energy?
I would say, I mean, and this is still something I have to do on a daily basis because, like, the negative loops in the mind that happens. It happened to me this weekend. It happens every day, and it's a constant process of sort of usually what that looks like for me is sitting down. I usually like to do a little bit of breath work. And the reason why is when you're, like, for example, when you're doing a longer exhale than you are an inhale, what you're doing is you're kind of transferring your body's response from your sympathetic nervous system to your parasympathetic. Your parasympathetic is what's responsible for rest, for healing. So, because a lot of our physiological responses, so I'll give an example. I could be sitting here like, oh my gosh, I can't do this yoga class. It never comes out the way I want it to, and it doesn't flow, and I'm not good enough. And it starts to cycle, like it can with everything. And then you get to a point where you're inhaling a little bit faster, you're activating that sympathetic nervous system. And this is all self-inflicted, right? If you think about it, with your ego, your thoughts, your mind. So I like to sit there and I try and bring myself to a level of calm first. And I face it. Like, I know that's cliche and everyone says you have to face it, but you do. And I sit there and I think about, what is the root cause of me telling myself this? And sometimes it's like something I don't exactly like want to hear or remember, but I do. And then I'm able to release it. So for me, that was um, feeling the weight of the responsibility that I had as a child when my dad was constantly deployed, and I felt like my childhood was somewhat robbed for me, and I was always in a position of having to like care for younger siblings or something like that. And once I get to the why, I'm able to understand that a little bit more from a psychology standpoint, if you will. And so it's just a little bit of a process, first kind of calming down the physiological response that I'm having to these thoughts, and then sitting with them, thinking, and then accepting that, like, if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't have been able to talk myself through it, and I would not be well versed in helping others do the same.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
that there's, and plus or minus whatever works for you. Sometimes a little sound healing. Sometimes it's a joint and an intentional smoke, because that, we'll get into that, I'm sure, but that can really bring things to the surface, to the horizon of your awareness. And so there are times when I sit and I know that I'm struggling with something and I am expecting it to come to the surface. So that's another way to sort of like alchemize and use like an amplifier like that, with intentionality.
Yeah.
The time is appropriate.
That makes perfect sense. That's good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, oh my goodness, my daughter just threw me off. She was just walking around the house being so loud, and it just threw me off, and I had to make her close the door.
Oh, it's all good.
Yeah.
I sent a text beforehand. And I was like, don't come into this room.
Oh my God.
Someone is dying, or an animal is hurt, or the house is on fire. And then but if at all possible, please don't come knock on this door.
I did it because I left the door open for the cat, so it's my fault. And then she forgot I was doing something. Anyway, and then I'm sure like your energy work, you can probably do like energy work sort of on yourself because you are Reiki.
I do
How do you
like
explain
to,
that?
and that is, some of my best sessions actually have been when I've done like little micro doses of bufo, because I feel that it really hyper attunes myself past the point of, like, I could sit here when I'm really stressed out and I'm like, oh, my heart chakra is so blocked.
Oh God, yes.
But like, still the thoughts are impeding my actual ability to get to that point of inner stillness to where you can just feel. So
Yeah.
when I do Reiki myself, a lot of times I am, if I'm at a point where I'm needing to Reiki myself, well, first of all, I have no issue asking friends who are Reiki for help, regardless of me practicing or not. I have done it many times with integration. I have a good girlfriend named Breezy that's helped me out, but I usually involve some sort of use of plant medicine to sort of break those connections that are getting me caught in that loop in the first place. And then I'm really able to like accurately assess and just feel from a non emotionally reactive or judgmental state, like, okay, like I definitely feel some things like stirring up around here, so let's see what we can move around.
Yeah.
And that's it. So it's interesting doing it on yourself for sure.
Yeah, totally. And I do as well. And I've been doing the here and there, probably 3 nights a week, the Bufo pen, just because I don't have the real thing with me. But and that, or even to maybe go on to tobacco, like if you don't have that, the rape will do that for me as well. And also just smoking a hit of tobacco, like roll up tobacco cigarette.
Yeah.
I don't smoke cigarettes, but for some reason the tobacco is just like, there's something about it that's like calling me to work with it, so I'm playing with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it just
that's
has
like
been.
a master medicine. So I mean, tobacco is wonderful. I'm the same. I don't like smoke cigarettes or vape or anything, but there is a lot of power in grandfather tobacco.
Well, I need to learn more about that, but just because I feel really called to it. But so the rape really helps me just really get centered and able to just kind of run my energy better, and to really um, just be self-aware. Totally.
Yeah, that's a great meditative tool. It is.
Yeah.
I'm still, um, it's
Rape?
funny. Jenna would actually have a lot to say about this.
I know.
It's like I'm working. I had this like love-hate relationship with tobacco, and it's still one of. I would say it's a lot better now, but for a long time, it was still one of those things where I would every ounce of me was trying to find a way to talk myself out of it, because just all the programming as a nurse where it's like we spend all this time trying to like stop vomiting, right? They teach you it's bad, we have to stop it and stuff, and just switching that, because I do tend to like purge with rape,
Ah,
just kind of the deprogramming and time like my body is getting rid of something that no longer serves it. This is a positive thing, and it's very grounding, very meditative, but I had to definitely like work my way up with, and I still can't do like super tobacco dense rapes.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
where it's like flying all over the place.
Jenna seen me vomit like probably 100 times.
Wow, I think I've only purged once or twice on rape. I don't think I do enough. I don't think I do enough. I keep it
Maybe you're
really.
just so aligned and clear, and you do a good job of maintaining that so wonderfully that it hasn't had to happen so much.
Sounds good. All right, what are we gonna talk about next? Let's see. Um, I want to talk about your son. So we have about, I think we have like 45 minutes because I don't have
Okay.
a whatever. So I think this is so. Um, I mean, we both grew up. How old are you? You're super young, huh? 30.
I will be 30 in 2 weeks.
I suppose I said 29.
29.
Okay.
So still at the end of the 20s.
And we are 16 years apart. But I would imagine that we kind of grew up probably like the same sort of era where it's like you do what your parent, the programming and the way that your parents and not that and pray, give them love. They didn't know how the consciousness was just not high enough, I guess. But
Correct.
a lot of people are trying to do different with their children. A lot of people are trying to go, I am too. I wish, like, if my daughter would not get depressed being home doing computer school, then that's what I would have her doing. But she got depressed the year that I had her, that we did it. And so she wanted to go back to school. So who am I to say, no, you can't go hang out with friends? So
Right.
At least it was an option. So I'm really trying, and I know a lot of other people are really trying to figure out how do you like set this like balance, like between like discipline and being a friend and being a mom, and like I feel like it could be all of it, but I think it has to be all of it. But allowing them to be free, and like where do you draw the line, and like there's just so much about conscious parenting that that a lot of people need to know, I think. Just
Yeah.
what are just some things that, why, first of all? So
Well, yeah. Okay. So, I guess I would say what sort of inspired me with the way that not that I have like a plan. I don't wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do these things. Like it just flows. But, a lot of that came through my own healing journey, and particularly my struggles. What I don't share with a lot of people is just how actually aggressive the multiple sclerosis that I suffered with was. Went into a progressive state within like 3 years of diagnosis, which is pretty rare. It usually takes about a decade for that to happen. And once I sort of hit my rock bottom, if you will, and began to sort of alchemize, I looked back, and realized so many factors, like, it's easy to blame, a very obvious trauma, like a sexual assault or something. But actually was sitting in some of like my ayahuasca ceremonies and just like some meditations where these random downloads would come, where I'd remember, a time, for example, that this one's popping into my head now, like my ninth grade boyfriend, we were dating for like 20 days. It's so serious. We held hands and everything. And he broke up with me, and I was devastated. And my dad talked to me, and said, showing this type of emotion is it's a sign of weakness, and you need to do your best to bury that. And I started remembering that was a very common theme in my life, where I grew up in a Polish military family. So it was a little bit of a double whammy there. Like neither one is known for being particularly like expressive or wearing their heart on their sleeves. And it was being made to feel not in a negative, I love my parents. Like you said, they did the best they could with what they knew. But really feeling like they were trying to control who I became as a person, and the constant guidelines of bury it. People are going to think you're weak, and that is not what you want, so it just compressed and compressed and compressed and compressed until it came to a point where I was like a medical marvel to these doctors. How could someone your age possibly be so sick? Like, how could someone's body turn on them? And there is no explanation for that other than that was just compacted trauma on a cellular level, more and more and more of it, with no outlet other than to manifest itself as a horrible illness on the physical plane. So when I think about parenting Luca, it's more just looking at it right out of the infinite number of souls that could have reincarnated and chosen me to be their mom. He chose me. So first of all, I look at that as an honor. I mean, even if you want to get down to like the scientifics of it, out of all the sperms that could have made it, what did, however it pleases you to view it. But I realize that I'm really just more of a guy. He is his own soul. He's his own person. He's lived as many, if not more lives than I have. Who knows? And I'm really here to keep him alive and healthy and safe until he gets to the point where he ventures out on his own. And, he loves like, video games and stuff, to a certain like more creative ones. And there was one point where I found myself, I'm like, I really don't want him playing that
video games
or playing video games at all. I don't agree with it. We need fresh air, they need vitamin D. But then I realized like that was something very similar to what happened to me as a child. I actually wanted to play hockey with my brothers. My parents were like, no, you need to pick something girly. Like you need to do ballet, which I loved and stuff too. But it was it's honestly my own experiences that I'll be like, oh, I remember how that made me feel as a kid. What could I correct to make him feel that I'm just here to support him, and help him, and really he's his own person. And like I said, it's an honor. So I don't know if that really answers the question. I do like to expose him to like the things that I learn. I definitely don't make him meditate, because when someone makes you do something, like me as a kid, if you tell me to do something, then I don't want to do it. And then if you tell me not to do it, then I wanted to do it. Right. So I remember what that's like. So I have like frequencies on in the background, and I'll take him to yoga if he's interested. Yeah. Once in a while, I will gently urge, if he's not even wanting to try something, I have really one rule, and it's you can't say you don't like something until you try it once. Mm-hmm. So that's really the only thing that I enforce with him. Mm-hmm. So I'll take him to sound healing or yoga and things like that. And if he takes to it, great. And at least I'm exposing him to it. And I also, he's been able to see, when his first few years of life were just visiting me in the hospital, essentially, and seeing me constantly hooked up to lines and, blood exchange machines and things like that. And he's seen it. I know that he maybe can't quite conceptualize, but some of the things that I do to keep myself aligned, he at least has the awareness to realize mommy was really sick and she was really sad. And now she does these things and she's well, and she can play at the park with me when she couldn't before. So again, just not pushing, letting him make his own choices, but also, just letting him know that sometimes doing something uncomfortable or something new is where you grow the most. So.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm mine's just turned 17. She's almost done, but due to my addiction for 15 years, she lived with my mom. She's actually adopted by my mom and my stepmom. But when she turned 15, I had been well for almost 10 years, and she wanted to come live with me. So here we are. It's been 2 years, and she's awesome, but it's like she's kind of already fully grown. And my mom and them are strictly Catholic, strict religious and church and all that. And older, my mom's 30 years older than me. I'm 46. So, do the math. They old school. So she came from a very different environment to me. That's like, oh, you want to do this? Okay. As long as you commit to it for the full, whatever the contract is, or as long as you commit, whatever it is, like I'm not going to, unless for some reason, I can't let you do something, but it's in my power, and let her learn. And she's super smart, dude. Like, I do plant medicine and this and that. And she really, honestly, I would probably let her do mushrooms. She's 17. Like, why not? Like,
that in the setting is safe,
exactly.
It'd be a beautiful
but she's very she's not real interested in any type of anything mind altering. And I'm like, very good. Very good. That's great.
And that right there is conscious parenting. You're not forcing anything on them. You're not targeting them with your own projections of what worked for you, because she has her own story and her own things that she'll work through one day. And I bet you that makes a huge impact on her, just appreciating and that sort of like respect, especially coming from some like old school and Catholic. Like my family was also Catholic too, so I understand that.
It takes some getting used to get away from that. Um, what else did I want to talk about? I think consciousness. I really want you to do a little bit of Reiki at the end, if that's okay, or something like just whatever it is that you feel called, maybe a meditation or a sound or a, I should have said something, huh? It's just if
Oh,
you want to.
oh yeah, we'll come up
Um,
with something.
okay. Just to kind of let people see how you work, and I want you to, if you have a website or like how people can get a hold of you and that kind of thing too. But we can do that. We still got about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So is there anything that you feel called to talk about?
Mhm.
Well, hold on. Yeah, you do that. I was
I was
gonna say keep going with your story and how and what helped you with that. Because I'm sure there are thousands at least people that had your condition that may need to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I firmly believe not even expanding outside of MS, just autoimmune and chronic disease in general. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it with like your gut and your biome that I can't ignore. But if I'm speaking from an energetic standpoint, like I firmly believe that I don't know, I started getting interested in like Joe Dispenza's work. I'm sure you're very familiar with that. And I firmly believe that it's sort of um, our traumas and the things that we don't face that honestly like shorten our telomeres over time and contribute to chronic disease. And it's a very easy trap to fall into because, I'm laying there with a dialysis catheter in my neck and I'm like, I have such a good heart, like I don't understand, like I can think of all these bullies in high school that deserved this more than me, but that is a victim mindset, so it's devastating and you feel like everyone's against you, but it's like really you're walking around in the dark and you've had matches in your pocket the whole fucking time. And it just takes that enlightening experience to oh, they have been here the whole time. I was walking around in the dark I didn't have to be, but you know what? At least I found them now and I won't do it anymore. I really think that, God, there's like so many things that go into it. I don't know where to even begin, but I think it's just sort of accountability yourself and like self-observance, but with compassion. And the compassion part is very important. And that is still something I work on every day because it is, you could say, Meagan, I'm having, I feel so unaligned and I would jump all over that. Like, what can I do? I'd never want anyone else to feel this way. Right. But that's like being an empath. It's like, because you know how it feels and we'll sit there and let it fester in ourselves while giving everything to everybody else. And then still critique the way that like I helped at the end. I could have done better on Carla's Reiki session. What are you thinking? That sort of just critical, mean thinking. It's like we would never treat someone else that way. So why do we do it to ourselves? I don't have a good answer to that question, or it would be a long-winded answer. But I'd say just self-observance with compassion, forgiving yourself for the things that were your fault and the things that weren't your fault. And knowing that every single thing that's happened is part of your story and brought you to where you are. And it is a choice. You have a choice. It's that relinquishing control to, televisions and idolizing, celebrities and stuff. And it's all inside of you. You don't need any of that. You have a choice to be happy. You don't need that. We think that we do. And there's a lot of programming that says that like we have to put our trust in these extrinsic factors that will magically help us feel better without doing any of the work. And that's very tempting for people. I know, because like I was on antidepressants for a very long time. I just like, somebody fix me. I need someone else to do that, please. Like, why can't you fix me? It's shifting the mindset. And it's not quick. I am off all my medications, and I don't have a cane, and I don't wear prisms, and I haven't had to get, blood exchange in years now since beginning my journey. However, like I still have like little like spasms and things that come up that I know are the result of just damage done. But I'm like, you know what? Look how far I've come. I honor that. And I know that it has been 40 million times worse than this. So I'm going to sit with this discomfort and we're going to move past it. And I'm not going to give it that attention. So for, people with illnesses or diseases, that would be, my advice is really starting at self-love. And when I meditate, or a lot of times when I do bufo or any plant medicine, sometimes I learn, this is where the dispensa comes in. I'll actually visualize my own telomeres lengthening, or I will literally picture like a cell, and I am like with a little surgical instrument pulling these traumatic memories out of it, so that the next time I reincarnate, I have a lot more of a clean slate to start with.
Dude, that's cool. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that. Pulling them out. Yeah, Dr. Joe's a trip. He's got some good stuff. I wish there was more on, I mean, I guess you just gotta like actually pay for it, but I just wish there was more meditations on YouTube from him. I mean, I've watched so many.
I have a good one that I'll send it to you, and we can figure. It's in my Dropbox, but we'll figure out a way that we can share it with everyone. A couple of good dispensa meditations that are really nice. Their energy centers and things like that.
Yeah. I need to do more visualization stuff, I think. Just because, and me and Jenna were talking earlier, we're gonna start doing this this women's womb circle where you manifest through the womb and like picture it growing, and like it kind of reminded me of, you make her think of that. It's
gonna be beautiful. I love co-creating with Jenna. I'm sure that's gonna be a beautiful event and help a lot of women.
We just need you out here. Or me and Greg need to move over there. That's better.
Yeah. That would be cool.
That would be cool. Honestly, in a couple of years, like once Ariana is completely grown where she can take care of herself, she can come with me, or she can go whatever she does. I'm probably going to move to Florida because I have friends that are trying to start a retreat center in, I don't know, somewhere southeast Florida. And they have the whole place, like it's there, like we just need to go and do it. So like I'm pretty sure I'm going to be moving to Florida soon. It's on the other side, it may be a couple hours away from y'all, but within the next 3 years I'm seeing this place like open.
So supportive of this.
Okay, is there anything else that you would like to just kind of add at the end before you do a little bit of magic on us?
Well, I want to be cognizant of time. I don't want to get off on a tangent. I will just say real quick that, I mean, if anyone is interested in like cannabis and looking outside the box of kind of traditionally what we're programmed, which would either be recreational or medical, or maybe their programming is that it's the devil's lettuce. I don't know. But this is a very ancient tool that has been used for thousands of years. There is documentable evidence of this. It's some of the things I go into in my ceremonies, and it is to be treated like any other I won't say a mind altering substance. I'll say a plant medicine, any other plant medicine where you'd want your setting and intention to come into play. And it really can be a very powerful tool, and it can, I will argue about this. It's like, I think it does have the power to be somewhat of an ego dissolver when used appropriately. Beautiful for downloading and stuff. Beautiful if you're a practitioner of yoga at all, to kind of practice in an amplified state, really like fast track that portal to inner stillness. So if anyone has questions about that, or is in Florida and is interested in cannabis ceremonies, or actually even over in Louisiana, Nori, I believe, is trying to start some cannabis ceremonies and stuff. So I have a couple directions I could point people to, and I'm always obviously happy to talk to anybody about that too.
Awesome. Yeah, you are awesome. I love you, sister. I needed this because we really hadn't, the only interaction that we really had was our
When
mushroom
we found our
ceremony and
portal.
the portal in the woods.
That
Wait a minute, you see
was a
that
portal.
too?
At first, I really did not know it was a piece of wood until you looked at me and said, "That'll get you. That'll get you." And I'm like, "It did," but
Don't
it's
go in.
still a portal.
Oh, that was a bit. It's amazing how a ceremony can take two people that don't know each other. Well, I had a connection with you just because of Hector, and like Hector's like my little brother, and I love him so damn much. And so just knowing that you were his that was Hector was your baby. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, and I just connected with you, like, even though we didn't talk, you were just like so precious. And I was just like so proud of him and happy for y'all. But I need
Yeah,
to see more of him,
we have
damn
a
it.
lot of like similarities, and sometimes we're both very like stubborn in nature
Yeah.
and stuff. So we're really like helping each other grow, and
He's growing
he's
a
the
lot.
best.
He's never been this happy, I don't think so. I mean, since I've known him, I've only known him for a few years, but
Yeah, I mean, he's
it's like a child.
totally sober, and he's
Mhm.
doing the work. And I mean, what more could I ask for
Yeah.
in a conscious partner? We're definitely not perfect. We've definitely screwed up, and we've had our fights and things like that. But it's that we continue to try.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So anyway, my point was being in ceremony with somebody, like, you only need one time.
it's true.
And that's it's like, oh, friends for life, soul sisters
Yes.
for sure. Okay. Do you think you can do a couple minutes of Reiki, or like do you have to, like, does it take a while to get like really maybe we
Well, I didn't have any of my stuff set up. However, I do have my sound bowl that I play for a little bit, which I actually love to incorporate into my sessions. Obviously, it's just some vibrational healing, especially like after I've sort of gone through with like some shamanic Reiki and usually like some cleansing. I'll start with a sage or something to out with the negativity, and then bring something in like with copal or I like juniper a lot. So I incorporate a lot of things into my Reiki, but hold on, my bowl's right here. But I love like ending it with some sound healing.
perfect.
Oh, that was me. Oops. Those were my gongs. Now this I just like to do at the end to sort of like clear some energy. It was actually like Hector had a set of these that he uses when he serves bufo, and I just like thought it was so like beautiful.
It is.
Lovely. That's not my bowl.
I know. But it really was lovely. I've seen people cleanse like their tarot cards and stuff with those.
Yep. Absolutely. I like to use that particularly like around the crown when I'm up there as well. But this was like just a lovely little bowl that I have that I bring to my sessions, and I play it for my son sometimes at night, and it's just really like beautiful. So enjoy. Ah, so beautiful. Just love that.
It is.
I respond so well to sound healing. It's like I feel it here.
I do too. I'm
Yeah.
so
We were both like, yeah. So
you're
I
such
just
an earth angel. I think I am too. I think we're
yeah,
both like we're both
you
like earth
definitely
angels. All right, my sister. Well, look, okay, website. You got one?
are. Right now I have a business Instagram. It's called The Medicated Pamphlet. And then my personal Instagram, I usually, just because of the following and they share a lot of that stuff too. And that's Meggie Jane 420.
Meagan Jane.
Yep. MEAGGY Jane 420. So, yeah, I do a lot of content right there. The medicated pamphlet is where I promote a lot of my cannabis ceremonies and things like that. Sometimes I'll put little videos on there just about doing like a Shiva blessing on your cannabis, just fun stuff like that. So, by any means, people can get a hold of me there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for blessing us with your presence. I love you.
Thank you. I love you. I know it only took one time sitting in ceremony, but I want more.
Oh, we will.
I'm expressing that I want to come. So I'm going to need to make a trip out there soon.
Oh, well, okay. We'll talk.
Yeah.
We will talk. We will talk. Love you, sister. Let's go. We'll go ahead and end it.
Okay.
Namaste.